You're listening to the Marketing Attractions Podcast. Conversations on how nonprofit attractions are increasing attendance and sharing their missions through marketing. Your hosts are Ryan Dick and Jenny Williams of Attend Media.
Jenny, today's topic, should your attraction invest in an online map? Okay. Why are we talking about this?
Well, I think, we've worked with some clients, one particular that's got a large holiday event that's coming up, and they've looked at user feedback, survey data to kind of see what they could do to improve guest experience in the attraction during some of these large events. And surprisingly, a lot of people came back and said, I want to know where I am. So I think, it's on the marketing team in most cases to ensure that user experience is, improved any way possible. And one of the ways that they can do that is through a guided map that can include information about where you are, where you're going, and what you have to see while you're there.
Yeah, sounds good. And we brought in a guest. Why don't you give her a quick intro?
Yep. So we're going to be talking with Anna Busby. She is the project and marketing manager at Engage by Sell, and they are an SMS and mobile web development company that specializes in creating guided maps for attractions.
Cool. All right, let's get into it. All right, Jenny, today we've got Anna Busby. She is the project and marketing manager at Engage by Sell. Anna, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right. I think first of all, let's just dive right in. And who is Engage by Sell? What do you guys do and offer for nonprofit attractions?
Yeah, so we started in about 2006. Our very first product was actually an audio guide. So you call in a number and you can basically listen to an attraction, tell you about everything they have going on. I think our second client was actually Central Park. That was pretty cool. They had Whoopi Goldberg and other celebrities recording their voice, telling you all about the garden. And since then, we've expanded. We offer touring apps. We offer text messaging, text chat. And I think what we're here to talk about today, for the most part, is GPS mapping. So you can think about that product as an organization is creating their own little personal Google map. So they're including all the paths they have, all the sidewalks, the attractions, the pop-ups, all the things that wouldn't show on Apple or Google Maps. So they wouldn't be helpful at all for a visitor to help navigate the attraction, to really see everything they have to offer. So we're actually using Google Maps Blue Dot technology, their location services. And then we're stripping back all the default maps, and we are adding in that organization's map and their points of interest. So that can be a map they're already using on a brochure. We can design that map. The organization can design that map based on the parameters we give them. And then they're just kind of dropping their points of interest and including whatever engaging content they would want to. So that can be video, audio, scavenger hunts, quizzes, surveys, polls, educational content, all that good stuff. It doesn't require a download. That was a big thing for us. We actually started building maps that you would have to go to the App Store and download. That barrier is very unappealing to a visitor, especially if they're only coming there once or twice a year. They do not want to go download an app, sit there and wait for the app to download, give it all the permissions, and then forget they even have it the second time they visit. So it being accessible through a QR code and link is a big win for us and our clients, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So this is, you mentioned QR code. So this is on my phone. Once again, no app, which I'm totally with you. Like, how cluttered is my home screen already? Don't want to add another one to that. And I'm walking around the attraction and I can kind of pull out the phone and say, hey, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm going. I want to go see this. And it's all just on the internet, so to speak.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just in a web browser. Your web browser probably already has permissions to follow your location. There's a little blue dot and it's going to follow you around wherever you're going. It kind of just helps the visitor when they get there. One of the most confusing things about walking into an attraction is, where do I go now? What do they have to offer? So it's giving you a snapshot and a way to get to the places you want to see without having to ask 20 people or just kind of meander around.
All right, cool. And I think one of the big reasons we wanted to have you on, Anna, is one of our clients that we work with is investing in this mapping tool, but give us kind of the pitch. Like, why would an attraction want to spend the time, effort, money to do this? We're getting off of printed maps, or take it away.
Yeah. So obviously it's wayfinding. That's more of a visitor experience thing. But it's also a tool for engagement for before, during, and after the event. So beforehand, they can plan their visit. Maybe they're seeing an exhibit or a spotlight they didn't even know existed, and it's driving traffic to that spotlight. It's really kind of upgrading the perceived value of a visit or maybe even a membership. It's a good tool for traffic control. So because it's showing you everything you have to offer, something someone maybe doesn't even know is there, they'd see that pop up and they'd beeline straight forward. And it helps with the confusion and kind of the stress of trying to figure out what you're going to do, especially folks with kids. I mean, they need to figure out what to do with their kids ASAP. So it's showing them where that children's garden is, showing them where that children's theme park is, and helping them navigate to it without having to take 20 minutes to figure it out.
I like that. Jenny, you did that presentation at APGA talking about using influencers to kind of highlight some of the hidden gems within an attraction. And Anna's here talking about children's gardens. I mean, I'm thinking about one large botanical garden that we work with, that children's garden is like kind of hidden in the back, if you will. And if you don't know where you're going, you got some anxious kids like, man, I'd really just like for them to run out some energy at the moment. So
yeah. And that's a good point when you're having special attractions, because for a lot of organizations, this isn't going to completely take away a printed map. Some people really love holding that printed map. For some, they're saying we're going completely paperless, but it will definitely cut down on the amount of maps you have to print, not to mention things change all the time. Exhibits change. Maybe you have a special guest there. Instead of reprinting 2,000 maps for that, you go on our dashboard, you change it, it's live immediately. So it's really cutting down costs there, and it's cutting down the need to have staff everywhere to answer those questions that are immediately answered by the nature of the map itself.
Well, and then how about languages? This isn't an app that you're developing where maybe you have 3 or 4 languages that you're able to kind of build it for. It's web-based, right? So is it any possible language you want based off of someone's browser?
Yeah, exactly. So we actually integrate with Google Translate as well. So you could use that. It's a little drop down. It'll automatically translate the content, or you can duplicate the maps and translate the content however you wish. I know some folks want to have a little bit more control over the translation. Google Translate is pretty accurate, but there's 10% there that maybe you don't want to mess up. So we have people kind of just replicating their maps and translating them themselves as well.
Yeah, I like that. Some of the folks we work with are heavy tourists, like heavy international tourist markets. So that's a kind of a plus there. My mind also goes to like, holiday events, kind of from the marketing side. We see some organizations that spend a good chunk, if not more than half of their marketing budget, just promoting that kind of blockbuster event. Are you guys doing like custom maps for special events, or how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. We've done several of those. And actually, one that ties into a conversation we've had recently, obviously we have the holiday lights exhibits coming up for almost all of these botanic gardens. And one of them has a sponsor who loves technology, and we love that. So we're actually working on creating a sponsored mapping experience specific to that event. Even outside of events, you could use it as ad space and sponsorship space. And even if you don't have a sponsor, we have clients replicate their maps for specific events. It doesn't have to be holiday lights. It could be, we have this artist doing some installations around the garden, and we want a map that only highlights where those installations are, because 80% of our visitors are here for that. It's super easy to do, and it's a great way to kind of promote the event on your website beforehand for the visitors that come here that maybe don't even know about the event. Yeah, it's super easy to do.
All right. So this kind of like sounds like a no-brainer. Go ahead, Jenny.
Well, I'm just thinking too, like back to like the hidden gems, or I think so often
people might be in a botanic garden or a zoo or wherever they are, and they don't even know what they're standing in front of, right? They don't know that it's the oldest tree in the U.S. that's right in front of them, or a particular, native species that you can't find anywhere else, right? So I think, I guess how in the map, what type of information are you able to put in there to kind of explain what those things are to those visitors?
Yeah, so it's pretty limitless. You can place as many clickable map markers as you want. I mean, we don't recommend placing 1 million because that's just very confusing. But whatever you place, the end user could tap on it. There could be a very simple description of what they're looking at. You could have recorded a 40-minute long video description of what they're looking at and uploaded it onto the platform. I actually helped build a map for Snoqualmie Falls Park that's up in Washington. It's very beautiful. And I went up there and I had an audio recorder, and I just followed around this park guide and let him talk to me. And we just took his clips and cut them up and put them in the map markers. So it's like a docent-led tour, essentially, the way they built that one out. You could also gamify it. You could add quizzing questions. You could kind of make it a scavenger hunt, like you hit stop 1. Now you need to go find the man in the big red suit, and then that's stop 2, and then they click it and get another stop. You could also use it to further education initiatives. I know that's a big initiative for some of our clients, to use it to put some of those materials that no one ever sees, that they spent a lot of time creating. It's a good location to really put all the content in one accessible place. And the fact that it's on your browser, that's another thing to mention. We always hear about accessibility. You want to make these things as accessible to all of your visitors as possible. Because it's in your web browser, it's going to automatically fit whatever accessibility settings that user has put on their phone. So it's multimedia content, you've got sound, you've got visuals. It's a pretty accessible experience for everyone at the attraction.
Okay, I like this. I'm coming at this from like a marketing side kind of attack here, and it's like, all right, I could see. You mentioned the gamification, so I could see, hey, I've got a first time, or I come once a year type of visitor coming in. I can throw a new experience at them, and I'm seeing the leap to say, okay, this is worth upgrading to that membership. Adding, or I'm kind of going back to this children's garden. Like, I finally found the children's garden. I want my kids to come here in the summer and play in the splash pad. So I can see that leap to say, hey, a product like this has a good shot at increasing my conversion from first time or not very recent visitor to a membership. I like that. But we got to get people to use it, right, Anna? So how do we?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What are some tips and tricks that you guys do to increase adoption?
Yeah, and this is kind of the fun part, because I'm obviously in marketing as well, and this is where I like to get creative, and it's always awesome to see the creative ways our clients have used it. So it's accessible, like we said before, through a QR code or a link. So you could put that link and QR code in obvious places. You could put it on your website. You could put it at the ticketing counter. You could do stickers on existing signage, maybe throughout the park. If you have TV monitors anywhere, you can pop it up on there. We had an amusement park put it on all of the trash cans. That's not a glamorous location, but they're used by every single person that walks around the park. So they're going to see it and they're going to scan it. We had a city tour use these QR code sidewalk decals, which I didn't even know was possible. So when you're walking, you look down, there's a huge QR code telling you to scan it, and it will take you to this famous attraction. That gets pretty high usage. We also had another downtown attraction. Their neighborhood businesses started promoting it because it was driving traffic to the businesses in the area, and it was a helpful tool for their visitors, or their clients, should I say, folks in their stores, to use. It was helpful rather than saying, take a left, take a right, and that's how you get to the Salem witch trials. They would just say, scan this, and it'll show you exactly where all these attractions are. I've seen it on candy wrappers. I've seen QR codes on t-shirts. Another really clever way an amusement park did this, they also use our text messaging platform, and they wanted to ramp up their SMS marketing campaigns. So they required visitors to text in order to get a link to the map. So when they're walking in the park or when they purchase a ticket online, it says text ABC to 56512 for a map of the grounds. When they do that, they automatically receive the link back saying, welcome, here's the link to the map. But they're also enrolling in their SMS marketing list. And then they use it to anyone who texted in that day to say, hey, we have a giveaway here, or the last 3 cabins are available. Come on down to the office and claim them now. And that was extremely effective to them. They said they were shocked at the amount of people that came running to claim these open spots or claim the giveaway of a tumbler. I thought that was really clever that they beefed up their marketing list that way.
You're listening to the Marketing Attractions Podcast, conversations on how nonprofit attractions are increasing attendance and sharing their mission through marketing. Your hosts are Ryan Dick and Jenny Williams of Attend Media. Attend Media is a media planning and buying agency specializing in zoos, aquariums, gardens, and museums. For more information, please visit attend.media. Now, back to Ryan and Jenny.
Okay, so this kind of sounds like a no-brainer. It's like too good to be true, right? Like it's checking a lot of boxes. Tell me behind the scenes what's going on. Like who's, I need to update the map. We're creating a special event, for the holiday lights. Like who's doing the work? Is this going to be a big burden on my internal team? How does that work?
Yeah, so a big part of this is having our clients have ownership over the map they're building and the content that's there. So if you paid someone to go develop an app and develop this map for you, it would not only be expensive, but every time you needed to make a change, you would have to email them and wait maybe a week for them to go make it. With our platform, you sign up, we help you get started, we train you on the platform, and anyone who has a login can go and update that map. So for some organizations, that's an assistant. For some organizations, that's the director. For some, it's an intern. We even have a school in Hawaii that uses it to build scavenger hunts for their lower grade levels. But the people that are building the scavenger hunts are high school students. So it's pretty interesting. You don't need to be an IT expert to use it. And pretty much anyone with a login can go in and update that map.
Okay.
It's given kind of the control back. I think these marketing departments oftentimes with the nonprofit attractions are small and they're used to they have a lot of responsibility, but they're also used to being able to be in control. And so it kind of puts that back in their control to be able to make those changes when they want. I think through web design and development, right? They just want to be able to go in and make that change right now and not have to wait a week for somebody else to do it for them. So if that's the type of team that you have and you're operating with, then this seems like a great option compared to maybe having a full app developed for you.
Yeah, and another piece of this that I didn't even think about, I actually heard from Cincinnati Nature Center. They have a very cool map. They said they were really frustrated that people would look up their venue on Google Maps and then based off of whatever that said, plan their, well, that's not correct. That information on Google Maps is about 10 years old. They wanted to take their own ownership over what information they're giving out to folks. And this really allowed them to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Once again, marketing. That's what it says marketing in the title of our podcast. What kind of data can I get from this map? I mean, is there any type of user data or anything like that? I mean, You mentioned the SMS thing, which was a super clever idea. That kind of feels like it's outside of this platform. Is there anything else?
Yeah. So it is in the same platform, but you don't have to have texting to do the map, right? So you have a full reporting dashboard. It's pretty interesting to go see how many people are on your site at what time of day, which stops are getting the most clicks, and at what time of day that is. we had a park that's open 24/7, and they were surprised to see the amount of activity at like 2 a.m. of somebody just like walking around and tapping all these map markers. So it's giving you the data to make decisions about where maybe you need to put some more work in marketing a part of the park, or maybe this is getting a ton of attention and you didn't even expect that. So maybe you should mention it a little bit more. It's super interesting to pull those reports, and you have a full dashboard on that.
I like that. I'm also thinking like this linger time kind of concept, like people kind of hanging out, doing something, maybe more of a special event. Or an artwork installation. Maybe that's a good spot to put the beer cart next to you, like the food and bev, team can like, hey.
Absolutely. Yeah. For some reason, this spot is getting a lot of traction at this time and there's nothing there. Let's put something there.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. All right. So this costs $1 million?
Yes. So it can start at about $5,000 a year. And that is probably 40 to 60% cheaper than having someone go and develop a downloadable app.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of based on how much involvement we have in it and how much of an area you're covering. But yeah, it can be up and running pretty quickly as well. Once you're signed, we train you on the platform. We can help you get it off the ground. We can help you with that initial overlay and brainstorm with you on how to market it and maybe some sponsorship opportunities with it. And then you're just off to the races.
Yeah, Jenny, I like this. Like, it seems this is turning to more and more of these nonprofit cultural attractions are moving into this space. But I'm curious, like, why isn't everybody doing it? I guess it's just an adoption thing. Sure, there's some time and there's actually a cost, but I'm curious, are there any other kind of barriers that you're running into? Like, are people saying, sounds good, we'll get to it next year or something like that? Or
I think there's some of that. I think maybe leadership, if they're hesitant about technology, can be a problem. But the reality is this is going to be a reality in the next few years. So you really should be an early adopter of this type of technology because it's going to be all over the place. And why wouldn't you take advantage of meeting people where they are, which is on their phones? We don't want people to be on their phones the entire time they're at your attraction, but to say that they're not going to be at all is wishful thinking. So if you can't beat them, join them.
Well, and yeah,
well said.
And having that balance, like you said, I think especially if we think of like maybe gardens whose audience can still be a little bit older, right? Maybe you're not completely abandoning a printed map tomorrow, but you're not creating all your special event maps and, everything throughout the year printed. Maybe you just have your standard map that's printed and then your special events are all done, through a tool like this.
It's part of a toolkit, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to replace everything, but I do think it's massively helpful and could really cut down on efforts in several other places.
All right, Anna, our audience wants to know, how can they get started? You got an email address, or what's the best way for folks to get some more information?
Yeah, that's my favorite question. So you can visit us at engagebysell.com. You can reach out to me directly. My email address is Anna, ANNA, at guidebysell.com. That's GUIDEBYCELL.com. It's probably the best way.
Awesome. Anna, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was fun.
Thank you for listening to the Marketing Attractions Podcast. If you have a suggestion for a topic or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at marketingattractionspodcast.com.